About 2 months ago, a bunch of content creators received review units to kind of test this controller out and give their review or their first impressions of the controller. And recently, a lot of other content creators have gone out and purchased the controller, and they've given their review of the controller as well. So in this video, we're not going to really focus on the review part, but I'll give you a short breakdown. This is a premium controller. It's amazing to hold. The button placement feels great, and the buttons feel even better. There's a headphone jack, haptics on this controller, which is great to see and great to feel, and it works with the iPad Mini 6. Also, there's RGB, which who doesn't love that? I mean, heck, even Razer has a Backbone One-like game launcher for their Razer controllers. By the way, that does not need a subscription to access at the moment. Please don't change that, Razer. Please don't. And inside of that app, there's a bunch of little things that you can tweak and do and make the experience a little bit better for you. And just like the GameSir G8, if there's a game that you are playing that's only touchscreen, you can't use a controller at all, more than likely, you can actually go through the settings and set up a way for you to actually use that game with that controller, even though it's only touchscreen. And with all those features that I just listed, this controller blows the Backbone out of the water and has a slight edge over the GameSir G8. Like, there's this one feature where you can actually plug in the USB-C port at the bottom where you normally charge. You can actually plug that into a PC and play games like that. Now, this doesn't work on Mac. I tried a couple of Mac games, either from the App Store, from Steam. I also tried some cloud games. Neither of that stuff worked on GeForce Now, Amazon, or what's the other one? Xbox. So hopefully in the future, they will support this feature on Macs, because I would love to see that, but we'll just have to wait and see what happens. And for those who actually came from my other video where I compared a bunch of controllers to Warzone Mobile, I can confirm this controller does work with Warzone Mobile. Also, let me just explain, if you guys haven't noticed, I did purchase an Android phone just so I can do these types of videos with these USB-C controllers. Unfortunately, the Android device that I do have, Warzone doesn't support it. So yeah, that's the reason why you're seeing me plug in this whole setup that I have here on the iPhone just to play Warzone, to show you that it does work on the iPhone that I'm using. But back to the controller and all those features, a lot of those features come with an extra cost and some brand tax because the name is Razer. So since this is the first time I'm using a controller with RGB in it, also with haptics, I wanted to try to see how much that would affect battery life if I put everything up to the maximum. So the RGB lights are going to be at 100% brightness. The setting is going to be set to the spectrum setting because I feel like that's the most common that a lot of people would use compared to the wave. The wave seems distracting, especially at the highest setting when everything's going really fast. So I left it at spectrum and boosted the speed up to the maximum as well. And I also went to the haptics and turned those up all the way to the max. Then I fired up Leo's Fortune, which allows the ability to have haptics on there. In the Razer app, you'll be able to tell which games have haptics, as there will be a little toggle underneath the game icon when you hover over the game that you want to select. And to my surprise, there was somewhat of a difference when we're comparing everything turned off versus everything turned on. With everything turned on, for about an hour of gameplay, my battery went from 100 to 87%. And with everything turned off, it just dropped down to 92%. I also decided to test out what this would be like on the GameSir G8. And thankfully, everything's about the same. So it's about 92%. The GameSir G8 doesn't really have features like the Razer. So comparing apples to apples with everything off on the Razer versus the G8 Galileo, everything seems to be the same in terms of power draw, as these controllers are using power from your phone. So it's very important to kind of take that into consideration, and also keep in mind that Leo's Fortune is an older title. I'm sure a lot of optimization has been already done on this game. But if you are playing some other game that might not be as optimized as well as Leo's Fortune, then you might see a larger reduction in your battery life if you have all these settings turned on, if the game supports haptics. Honestly, I don't think a lot of people are going to shell out the 150 for the Razer Kishi Ultra. And you know what? I think Razer is okay with that because they also have the Kishi Pro and the Kishi V2. These controllers are priced lower than the Ultra, and what Razer is doing is actually giving you more options that might fit your need and at the same time keep you away from its competitors. Because I don't know if you guys know this, but a lot of these companies have been coming out with different controllers that are similar to the Backbone One or the Razer Kishis and all that. Some of these controllers have been announced and not released yet. Some of these controllers have already been released. And it seems like this mobile space is just getting more competitive as the months and years go on. So it's a great thing to see when it comes to competition and fair pricing and things like that. And it gives people options. But it seems like what Razer is trying to do is keep you away from those other options out there, those other competitors, by providing different controllers at different prices that do different things. Some of those things are similar to what the Kishi Ultra does, so you might want to get the Kishi Pro because it does have those haptic features. Maybe you're not an RGB fan, but maybe you do want some of those cool haptics that can be used on Android devices. It's up to you, but there your options are. But on the topic of competitors, I've got to go check out another controller. Hopefully there won't be any warranty issues. Wink, wink. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Stay wild.